Hi, my name's Chris Tunstall. I'm the Director of Sustainability, Transportations and Partnerships at Birmingham City Council. The video you're about to see will give you a flavour of our ambitious plans for cycling within the city. It's a cross-section of people. It's people, just general people, the population. It's people who work for the City Council. It's cycling enthusiasts, all of whom have got behind the City Council's bid, which will transform cycling within Birmingham.
The more cyclists you see, the safer you feel, and you get into that virtuous circle of realising that it's actually a great thing to do in terms of your own personal fitness, but also your own impact on the environment around you as well.
There's the camaraderie of people getting out on the bikes, and obviously people feel safe to do so. If we provide the right facilities, it's a safer environment and more people will do it.
Cycling makes a big contribution to the things that matter, in particular the health of the public. We've got some big challenges in terms of health inequalities. So I think encouraging cycling is going to have a massive impact on the way in which this city works.
1 in 4 of our 10-year-olds is obese, and 4 in 10 of our 10-year-olds are either overweight or obese. Now that's a public health emergency for this city.
We really need to now, with the enthusiasm there is for cycling UK-wide, but also I have to say within the region, there's a gathering momentum, and this bid means effectively some really good chunk of cash to actually do some of the work we need to do on infrastructure in the ground and on the ground. So that's it would make another step change to the difference of the facilities we can put on for cycling in Birmingham.
I think this bid will do an enormous amount to give people the confidence to perhaps get back on a bike and enjoy cycling.
I think in terms of reducing congestion in and around the city, people sitting in cars, economically, to have them, for example, sitting at their desk doing work is only going to be good for Birmingham.
From a professional point of view, cycle tourism is a big boom area, and currently our infrastructure doesn't help us when we're promoting the city in that regard. So if we can begin to package the type of infrastructure investment that we're hopeful we're going to be able to make, Birmingham becomes an even more attractive place for visitors on bikes, and that has ripple effects throughout the local economy, spend coming into the city and increasing the performance of the city economically.
But it is so important that we win on this bid. It's so important that we improve the facilities in Birmingham for cyclists. Of course, we have got good ones, but we need to make them better.
It's important for us because it supports economic growth, it reduces carbon, it helps the health agenda, but it also, cycling is about a better place to work and live, really. Yeah. So I see cycling as very much as a very, very crucial part of an integrated transport network that's supporting Birmingham and the region.
What's the best thing about cycling to school?
It's really fun, and I really enjoy cycling with my friends and my family because it's awesome.
I cycle because I get fit and I don't get fat.
I cycle because it's fun and easy.
I cycle because it's faster than walking.
And do you think we should win the bid for Birmingham?
Yes!
Go to Amsterdam and you see people going around on their bikes all over the place. It feels much more intimate and real as a place, as a result of the closeness of the public and getting around.
Cycling is a big part of the culture at Birmingham Science Park, but being located just off the M6 on the Aston Expressway, we've got to do everything we can to make it accessible and safe for cyclists.
From a public health perspective, very keen to promote physical activity, particularly things that will engage children, and that's about walking, it's about cycling, and it's about other forms of physical activity. And of course, for cycling to be realistic, it needs to be safe, it needs to be sustainable, and it needs to be mainstreamed.
It can be the quickest way to get to work, the cheapest way of getting to work, and I think it's worth remembering in this city that lots of people don't have access to a car. Transport poverty is quite often a big barrier for people getting to work or for education. Good for health, we know what the health statistics are, and also it's good for congestion and it's good for air quality, and actually the thing is, it's a great way to start the day. It's fun and it's enjoyable.
And we think this is a great way of doing it within Birmingham. Birmingham sort of is the centre of the national canals. From Birmingham you can cycle out to the outer urban conurbations of Birmingham, but then further afield into the countryside, and indeed anywhere around the country.
I think obviously Birmingham's the largest local authority in the country, so if the government is looking to give it to one local authority, then this is where they can have the biggest impact. We've got a lot of challenges in Birmingham, we've got a lot of challenges around unemployment, we've got a lot of challenges around youth obesity, so we're going to have a huge impact here in terms of the transformative impact on people's lives. Birmingham's known as a car city. Now, if the government is really serious about about transforming the way this country moves around, then what we're saying is come to Birmingham, because if you can crack it here, you've cracked the country.
I think Birmingham should win the bid because I think the investment is overdue in cycling in Birmingham.
Birmingham is a very large city which at the moment doesn't have a very well developed cycle infrastructure. It's developing, but it needs to move on at a great pace. And I think the second city in the UK should have an extremely good cycle infrastructure for the health of the city and the ease of moving around the city.
I think it will be targeted, or it should be targeted, at the very young and also the disadvantaged. Birmingham is the 10th most deprived local authority in the country. There are lots of people who can't afford to own a car. So this bid will allow an increased opportunities for those to get around the city.
In particular, Birmingham's got a lot of health inequalities, a lot of obesity problems. Cycling is a great form of physical activity that can help with those health problems. And what Birmingham's also got going for it is a fantastic network of canals in the city centre. So we can show people that enjoying riding a bike on the canals of Birmingham is a great outdoor experience.
I think that it will be very difficult to actually beat Birmingham because I think that the plans are radical, and I think that if we do get the monies, they will be spent very wisely.
Birmingham has a different offer. Putting money or talent into a cycling potential for this city doesn't just have transport benefits in terms of modal shift onto more sustainable and better balanced transport offers. It links up to economies, it links up to social cohesion, it brings communities together.
Despite the infrastructure that we currently have, there's a will and a commitment to try and make this happen. And I actually think Birmingham can demonstrate the best return on investment, the biggest step change. The government will get more bang for its buck by investing this money here in terms of outputs.
It would really help to get the Cycle Ambition bid money because that almost adds value to the work that we're already doing.
Well, the Canal and River Trust has been working very closely with Birmingham City Council and with a lot of other organisations in partnership. Because this is what it's all about really. We really ought to work together to make this happen. And for a long time now they've been working to improve the network, improve surfacing of towpaths and particularly signage. So we think with this bid, it would really give it a kickstart to improve the system, particularly linking it to circular cycle routes around the city, taking in parks and other places of interest.
We're working with a number of small businesses in the tourism sector and organisations like the Canal and Rivers Trust and the public sector organisations like Centro to make sure that we're providing the right kind of mapping information for people who are coming by bike and exploring the area by bike. And we're supporting a number of our partners in developing additional routes. So we're doing a lot of work, for example, with Calthorpe Estates, the university, and one or two individuals around scoping out the ability to link in some of the canal infrastructure routes to the Chad Valley, for example. And we're doing that because we're convinced that if we get that infrastructure right, then tourists will come and explore the area by bike. So we're marketing and promoting what we've currently got, and we're lobbying quite hard and working hard with our partners to try and make sure that we identify the infrastructure gaps that we've got from a tourism point of view relating to cycling, and then making sure that we try and address them.
We've been talking to a lot of employers, we've been talking to a lot of education establishments, schools and universities, and there's a real enthusiasm for cycling and for increasing cycling provision.
Yeah, well, we've demonstrated quite a commitment to cycling over the last few years. Been something like 11% increase in use of cycling for each of the last 3 years. I myself bought a bike at Christmas in order to get out and about more. So we've got commitment from the top of the organisation through the population as a whole. We've got some big benefits that we can make, particularly around health as a result of that investment. We're a big place, so we can show that there's a demonstrable impact of making these kinds of changes. So I think for all those sorts of reasons, we ought to be the city that gets the bid.
The ambition of our bid, the vision of our bid, I think says very strongly that this is an administration that wants to see a step change. In fact, we want to see several step changes made that will transform our city. And I don't think it's accidental. There's cross-party support for this.
It's really, really interesting to see the energy and the appetite that there is for cycling. There's a lot of support, both from the politicians and from local people.
I'm really pleased to see that the City Council is taking cycling seriously and is actually making a bid for this fund. And that shows me that the City Council is moving on in planning for a future that includes cycling and walking.
I think the fact that Birmingham has set itself out with a 20-year vision, talking about a cycling revolution, demonstrates to me that Birmingham is serious about getting more people cycling.
It's not just the council leading this, but we're actually being the mechanism to harness the talent of perhaps individuals and all sorts of different third sector groups that are already doing that and bringing it together in one place.
You know, I don't think there are. We have so many people who could benefit from this. There is lots of diversity. There are lots of opportunities to make this money work really hard for a lot of people. I think we're in a very strong position.
Let's be honest, cycling's got a bit of an image of being something that white middle-class, middle-aged men do. Now, as a white middle-class, middle-aged man, I cycle, but it's not just about, it's not just about that demographic. We know with projects that we've run in Birmingham, like Women on Wheels.
What's Women on Wheels?
Women on Wheels is about breaking down those perceived barriers in the Muslim community. And ensuring that the Muslim women across the city can access all the benefits of cycling.
I get jealous when my kids cycle when the weather is really nice. So I found this app for this course and I called them up, Women on Wheels. So and I joined, this is my first week. I think I already learned how to learn. It's a really nice experience.
I've never ridden before and I joined and I learned to ride in 4 weeks. I'm not that good, but I enjoy it.
Mashallah. So I'm here to make myself healthy, keep fit, and there we go. That's a nice sunshine and a lovely day. So I'm enjoying myself. Thank you.
That's excellent, Glenda. You're brilliant.
First thing, I like it. Second, I need to be fit.
Cycling is fantastic. When I look at the pictures of the Olympics, fantastic. But how often do you see minority groups really going out there and accessing cycling?
As I said, understanding that there are maintenance issues and there's management issues in utilising towpaths in this way. I wouldn't really call them barriers, but they're just the process that we have to go through and have to be resolved and have to be part of it. But no, there's absolutely, it absolutely lends itself, I think, to this bid, and I think it's really a huge step forward in doing this.
There perhaps is a view from outside Birmingham that we are too industrial. We this was the birthplace of the motor vehicle in the United Kingdom, but I think cycling is an adjunct to the motor vehicle, and it's really important in this day and age, not just for the green agenda, but for everyday life, that we use simple forms of transport to get and about. So I think Birmingham, there's lots of opportunities here. I think the barriers are more in other people's minds than our own.
What are the barriers? I would say possibly the fact that we've got so far to go. I don't want Birmingham to be overlooked, saying, well, other cities are further ahead, so they should get the money above Birmingham. You know, Birmingham, I can see from being a cyclist who does over 100 miles a week, you know, has got so far to go over other areas of the UK. But this should be a reason why Birmingham gets the money, not a reason against it.
The perception of Birmingham, if you haven't been here for a long time or you've never been here, you've probably got an outdated perception of what Birmingham actually is. Now, we've got a lot of evidence that says if you've been here recently or you've spent time in the city, then your expectation of the place is fantastic, because Birmingham delivers on the experience for visitors, for investors, for people who live and work here. But the perception of the place, we recognise, you know, we still need to address that.
It is an ambitious bid, because to deliver a bid of this type in a city that's got a legacy that's basically saying we're actually putting cyclists and we're putting pedestrians, we're putting them first and foremost. It's the end of our legacy as a car city. It's quite brave, really. So, yes, I think it can happen.
I think the only barriers are if we demonstrate a lack of ambition, a lack of commitment to making it happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to demonstrate that we have got the passion to put in a good bid and to deliver. And I think the important thing for us is our track record of delivery over a long and sustained period of time will encourage people to award us the bid.
The most important thing for me as a cyclist is cycle lanes.
Well, I sometimes use the canals to get to work, but some of the accesses down onto the canals aren't very good, and in the winter there's puddles on the canals, so it'd be nice if they did something with the surface as well. So
there's a lot of off-road cycling routes that could do with improvement, as well as major spine roads that really could do with some specific cycling routes on them.
I cycle in from King's Heath every day, and the first part of my journey is brilliant, so I get to go through Cannon Hill Park. However, when I reach town, I find it not so easy getting onto the roads and then onto the pavement. There's conflicts between pedestrians and cyclists. So I would like to particularly see city centre cycling transformed.
I think fundamentally what we need to do, if we win this money, and obviously we're very hopeful that we will, is to segregate some routes from the current main routes for cars into the city for cyclists, so that cyclists can come into the city centre. You can guarantee what your journey time is going to be, but you can do it safe in the knowledge that you're on a segregated route that takes you away, even if it's just a matter of a metre or two from the main traffic routes. I think that's hugely important.
Cycle storage, safe places to leave bikes.
I think the second point then is, once you're in the city, having got here safely on a pleasant journey in on a bike, you need somewhere secure and safe where you can leave your bike, and that's an infrastructure piece.
We need to be making our roads a safer environment for people to be cycling on. We need to be creating alternative routes for people to take them off of roads, and we need to be creating a culture where people will be looking to bikes for leisure, for short journeys, and indeed for some more intrepid people, combining public transport and cycling as a way to get to and from work.
So the right sort of signage is important, but also signage that leads people to a destination.
And I suppose thirdly, on a very personal point of view, the junction by the Hippodrome, by Hurst Street, there is some bike infrastructure there. There's a bike lane, but you've got to cross 2 lanes of traffic to get to it, coming off a pedestrianised area, which is what I do every day. So if that can be fixed as well, that would be great.
There's also that bigger question about the infrastructure for just embedding cycling as a normal part of everyone's life. That's what this money will let us do, just to break up to that next level.
You know, we've got massive investment happening in Birmingham, which is exciting. We've got High Speed 2 coming. We've got New Street Gateway happening just around the corner. We've got Midland Metro. We've got increasing a better bus network, and all of those things are helping support Birmingham be a really great place to invest and come and work and live in. And I just see cycling as part of that. I see cycling as a really key bit, a bit of that puzzle, if you like.
Cycling isn't just for able-bodied people, and I'm thinking that in Birmingham we host a lot of the military evacuees from Afghanistan and Iraq, but also we have a lot of disabled people, and we know that bikes can be adapted for disabled people, and I would really like to see just a small bit of the bid focused on disabled people and how we can encourage them to use appropriate cycling and another means for them to become part of normal society.
So there's a range of things that we can do at the moment that don't involve digging up the city, don't involve declaring war on the car. This isn't about that. This is about doing the things that we can do to encourage a better balance between the car and the bike. So making sure that the city centre works, and then making sure that access to the city centre works, and then building out from that from a number of years to get all those main arterial routes into the city centre. So we've got main road options where people just want to get straight from A to B. We've got quieter road options for less confident cyclists, and we've got off-road options that can also be used by commuters, can be used by all cyclists, but are particularly good for families and children.
We are a diverse city, but we can be a diverse cycling city.
I think it's fantastic that the city are looking to the DFT to try and obtain some of this money, and I really do hope that they're successful in the bid.
And we've got lots of bikes, but we've also got lots of scooters. So do you think we need the money for the scooters?
Yes, because I have little brothers and sisters, and they might not know that they shouldn't go on the road. And in case they do, the drivers won't see them and hit them.
Good point.
Scooters also need the money because they need to be safe as well.
True.
It's also fun for the older kids, because not just for the younger kids.
Even though it's fun for the older kids as well, it's more fun for the younger kids. And most of the younger kids don't know that it's not right to run out onto the road without permission.
So do you think we need the money for the scooters?
Yes!
I'm a keen cyclist myself, commute to work regularly on my own bike, and I have experienced the dangers around Birmingham of a lack of cycle facilities, so this would be a welcome benefit for me, both personally and professionally.
Lovely. Thank you for taking time today.
No problem.